All right, guys, time for another comic review, and this is another book sent to me by my friend Chris. Thank you as always, brother. Today we're going to be talking about Uncanny X-Men, The Dark Artery. This is the second volume in Gail Simone's Uncanny X-Men run. Yes, I am behind, but don't worry, I'll be catching up soon. Anyway, so for those who are just need a quick catch-up, Rogue has established a new X-Men team in Louisiana, alongside Wolverine, Gambit, Nightcrawler, and Jubilee, which I think is that's the most peak X-Men team ever, right? That's a bunch of fan favorites. I said this before that I do love Scott's X-Men lineup because he basically has said, he told the US government to their face, that's my X-Men team, but you don't want them to become my brotherhood. So he literally picked a bunch of guys who were not only powerful and had an exact, reason behind them, but also it was these guys, I can turn the leash on them and have you all get just absolutely wrecked. Here, it's a bunch of, the only thing this team could use is Storm. If you had Storm here, this would be like Storm and Cyclops, and then this would be the most peak team ever. But I think it's also, a lot of people have said that Gail Simone's Uncanny X-Men is a lot more their preferred X-Men team. And while I do like McKay's X-Men, this is fun in its own right. This is great in its own right. I think X-Men and Uncanny are basically the two titles everyone follows in terms of this new era of X-Men. Because they were basically the only two that I think survived after that initial slew of new X-Men titles. I think they're the only surviving ones. But anyway, so this also involves 5 new X-Men characters that were discovered after breaking out of facility. It's also discovered that Rogue has learned from a dying precog mutant that one of these 5 kids are going to destroy the mutant kind. Now, admittedly, I was kind of worried about the idea of, throughout the first volume, I think I talked about in Red Wave, I talked about how I didn't really feel this team needed new X-Men characters. We didn't need, a bunch of kid characters because we had a perfect team as it was. And now the team, the mutants are the X characters are, I had this fear that the new mutant characters were going to be pushed aside, but now it's very clear that these new mutant characters are literally going to be the New Mutants team. I think they are it's going to be, they are going to do a New Mutants title and use these characters. So yeah. And they actually grew on me more and more with each issue. They don't feel very OC. They don't feel unnecessary. And again, Gail Simone's really good at that. Anyway, so this volume is, again, like I talked about in my Hostile Takeover book, the big thing was the second volume for both X-Men and Uncanny was that they had a very big arbitrary kind of collection of stories. This is issues 9 through 16. And again, it covers one of the issues for X-Manhunt, which I feel didn't need to be here because we had it collected. And it just feels out of place. And technically, yes, this is the start of X-Men. The Uncanny was the start of X-Manhunt, but I feel it didn't need to be here. Anyway, so the New Mutant characters are learning more from the classic characters, and it's more of a collection of stories. We get the Wolfpack Sentinels in a 2-parter. We also get a Gambit storyline, a cool Gambit story that involves a mutant that is basically Killer Croc. I'm not joking. The character named Ving is literally just Killer Croc. He's got a reptilian condition. He's also super strong. It's Killer Croc. It's literally he's also Cajun. It's literally Croc. It is. Come on, Gail, you can do better. I know you can do better. You just wrote Marvel Killer Croc. That's all you did. And the main story follows one of the New Mutants, Death Dream, who's basically been reaching out by a new character called Lady Harriet, who was a mutant from the 1800s who was protecting the black community who had become mutants. It also involves a cool team up with Man-Thing, and I'm always down for Man-Thing. Apparently in a later storyline, we also have the Legion of Monsters team up with the X-Men. So that sounds so I'm looking forward to that storyline. What's also interesting is that there's also like this aura, and I noticed it throughout the volumes, is that there's almost like this aura of like a horror story. And Gale's Gale is surprisingly really good at telling a creepy story within superhero books. It's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted her to do a take on one of the Universal monster comics. I mean, Bride of Frankenstein doesn't have a writer yet. Well, I'm still kind of hoping for Karina Becco, if I'm being honest, but I wouldn't be opposed to Gale. There's also the underlying thing. Another thing I mentioned was that this dragon named Sonderong, who was from Savage Avengers, has the other Eye of Agamotto, which Gambit stole. And there's an underlying storyline with that involving that Sonderong basically warns Gambit, look, you're going to start wanting to eat people. You're going to go full Wendigo at some point. Just give me the amulet, but that doesn't happen. Yeah. All in all, I really like it. It's a cool collection of stories. I really enjoy this. I think both X-Men, I still like X-Men, but Uncanny X-Men, every time I read it, reminds me, oh yeah, this is still a great book. Like, this is still a fantastic comic. So yeah, I still recommend this series. Anyway, so Chris, thank you once again for the comic. Other than that, if you have been reading Uncanny X-Men, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.